Morning. So I was inspired last night. I was watching a program on Gaia called Heal, and there was one lady there that had juiced and done yoga meditations for years, and she ended up with stage 4. She ended up with cancer. I'm not sure now what stage, but it was serious in the end, and she was rather surprised with her lifestyle that she still was faced by this disease. And I first became aware of this actually with my own mother, who had attempted to eat as purely and cleanly as possible, always avoiding artificial colors and flavors and things. And in the end, her body was full of cancer. So I became aware of the fact that our body is guided and driven by our subconscious soul, by what we feel in the subconscious soul. And I know my mom, she never had a chance to do her trauma work. So the shadows, the trauma shadows, ended up being so heavy for the body that the body could only respond with cancer. She had cancer throughout her body, in her brain, in her stomach, and in her breasts. It was just all through her body, and it was sort of a reflection of what was going on in her soul. Right there, the soul is very complex, but my mom had a lot of complaints and judgments, let's say, against the Catholic Church because of the because it had inflicted a lot of trauma on her, religious trauma. And it's interesting that I had to clear my religious trauma as well, but I took it further. I took it to include the entire Bible, the entire Jesus narrative, and even Jesus himself. I just got rid of all of that because I'm understanding now that our wholeness, my wholeness, has nothing to do with whether I believe the quote-unquote Christian gospel of a man dying on a cross, which is totally irrelevant. But it does work for some people as a placebo effect. It can help your body regulate to some degree. If you remain ignorant of your soul space, of your psyche, if we remain ignorant of that, in amnesia, and we practice this Christian faith, it can give us a level of regulation for the mind. But it's not the truth. It's not the truth. Doesn't matter. Whatever helps you regulate your body, regulate your emotions, regulate the chemicals and hormones in your being, that becomes your truth. But it all comes back to the soul. We can do all the right things, from our conscious mind, but if we never address the shadows in our soul, we are eventually going to end up with a disease. And I can link this to a Bible verse. In Romans 8, I think, it says, "There is therefore no condemnation in Christ, in those who walk after the Spirit and not after the flesh." Those who walk in the awareness of Spirit and not just in the awareness of the conscious mind. There's no condemnation to those. Why? Psychologically, the state of being in Christ, if I put it in my way of saying, is technically and practically, you would have to avail yourself of the epiphany that you are God. You have to obtain the highest order, the highest state for your psyche to be free from all condemnation and wrongdoing. And that has to do with clearing out these beliefs, these shadow beliefs in the psyche. And a good psychotherapist can help you with that. A good natural energy healer can help you with that. An intuitive healer can help you with that. But you have to be clear in your soul. You have to be without condemnation in your soul, right? For your body, mind, and soul to flourish. For your psyche not to generate dis-ease in your body. And these shadows are all based in fear, shame, guilt, condemnation, all the beliefs we have formed about ourselves during childhood, when we didn't have a rational mind to frame these situations of neglect and abuse. And we internalized those things and declared ourselves unfit, unworthy, bad, no good, deserving of the blame, etc., etc. You get the picture. So that is what it means to me, that in Christ there is no condemnation. In that state, in that Christed state, in that higher state, in the epiphany of that you are divine, that you are God having a human experience, you can clear your soul to have no condemnation. Love keeps no record of wrong. So if you feel wrong about yourself, you need to dig into the subconscious beliefs that were formed in your soul, in your psyche. And you gotta look for those beliefs. You have to assess them. How does this belief serve me? Right? So, even your mind, your conscious mind can deceive you and make you believe that you don't have any fears. Every human being has fears in their subconscious. I still have fears. For example, I'll give you an example of condemnation. If you happen to be diagnosed with a potentially terminal disease, there's going to be a reaction from your mind, like even in the documentary, they gave this example. If you are getting a good diagnosis, you're going to have very different feelings of exhilaration, happiness, joy, if you get a good diagnosis. If you get a negative diagnosis, your body is going to release different types of chemicals like shock, fear, anxiety, guilt. Often, this is a subtle one. If you're sick, the first accusation you're going to feel, not so much hear, but feel, is, what have I done wrong? I must have done something wrong to deserve this disease. And really the only wrong that you have committed, the only sin you have committed, is that you have been living in stress, in the subconscious stress, and put stress on your body. So you're going to have different kind of feelings from a negative diagnosis. That's how sensitive you have to become toward your body. Feel into the chemical releases and how these chemical releases make you feel. Is there going to be joy and happiness, or is there going to be condemnation and fear and anxiety? You become a feeler. And whenever you have these negative triggers, these negative reactions, feel into what you are believing. Like the example I gave. Have I done something wrong to have contracted this disease? Right? That is a condemnation in your subconscious mind. There's a belief there. And behind that condemnation, there's a belief. And usually it's either a religious belief about the wrath of God, or it's, if you had a father that was stern, there might be a belief that was formed during your childhood about the wrath of your father, punishing you, whatever it is. It all comes down to our psyche, the unconscious, subconscious realm of our feelings and beliefs. So that is what another meaning of in Christ there is no condemnation. In that higher state of awareness about yourself, there is no condemnation. You can't do anything wrong. You have to release yourself from this burden of having done something wrong, right? It usually comes down to physiology, our body having to endure our psychological stresses. So you want to try and release as many shadows, as many psychological blocks as possible to get your body clear, to get your body so it doesn't have to work so hard and can maintain your well-being. I hope this makes sense, and hope you enjoyed this and can apply some of my insights. Have a wonderful day.